Yes, Pitbull, hardly a critical darling. Corporate America obviously believes he holds serious sway over the selfie-taking, soda-drinking youth. And then there is his reputation for the non-stop party.
Music to me is the gasoline to the fire.
What if the global music icon, known as Pitbull, was once a kid trapped in foster care, wrestling with a chaotic family and a harsh Miami street life? Before becoming Mr. Worldwide, Armando Christian Perez faced dangers that could have ended his story prematurely, from selling substances to narrowly escaping death. How did this youth reinvent himself through music, entrepreneurship, and sheer determination, only to face shocking controversies and legal battles later? This is the untold tale behind the man behind the hits, revealing secrets you never knew about the rapper's real life. Chaos before the crown. Before Pitbull became Mr. Worldwide, Armando Christian Perez grew up in an environment defined by instability and risk. His early life unfolded amid chaos tied to the hard substance trade. Both of his parents were involved, surrounding him with danger from a young age. What some might call entrepreneurial ambition existed within a volatile world where survival mattered more than safety. Despite this turmoil, Armando showed early signs of intelligence and cultural grounding. By age 3, he could recite the poetry of José Martí in fluent Spanish. His family history was deeply shaped by revolution and exile. His grandmother fought alongside Fidel Castro, and his mother escaped Cuba through Operation Peter Pan, separated from her family for years. His father later helped bring hundreds of refugees to the U.S. during the Mariel boat lift. These experiences tied Armando's upbringing to themes of struggle, movement, and resilience, but not stability. After his parents separated, his mother became his anchor. She supported them by selling water, cable, and Avon products door to door, often bringing Armando along. By age 5, he was already working flea markets with her, absorbing lessons about hustle and perseverance. Constant relocation followed, forcing him to attend more than 25 schools across neighborhoods that ranged from stable to dangerous. That instability peaked when he was placed into foster care in Roswell, Georgia, at just 8 years old. Armando spent nearly 9 months with a foster family, adapting to a new culture and losing his Spanish in the process. Though the family treated him kindly, the separation from his mother and roots was painful. He later described this period as a turning point, one that forced him to either collapse under pressure or become stronger. He chose resilience, a trait that would define his future. The return to Miami implied acquiring his language again and facing a city that was very much like a battlefield caught up in crime during the 1980s hard substance boom period. The city was a double-edged sword, opportunity on one side and danger on the other. On the one hand, Armando depicted his parents' ways as being adventurous, but on the other hand, there was a lot at stake. His mom cautioned him not to romanticize the violent Tony Montana lifestyle that has come to be associated with Scarface, and rather to aspire for something better, more durable, and so on. Growing up suffering, moving around, and succumbing to the circumstances turned out a man who realized the consequences pretty soon. Armando was an eyewitness of the very dark side of Miami, and through this he learned, and that was the very reason his determination not to get tangled up like everyone else was so strong. The streets of Miami weren't just a backdrop. They were a crucible that forged Armando's identity, teaching him lessons no classroom could. His early hustle, filled with dangers and near tragedies, set the stage for the moment that forced him to leave that life behind and follow a new path. Miami's streets and Pitbull's early hustle. By his teenage years, Armando was navigating the tough terrain of Miami's substance-ridden neighborhoods, intimately familiar with the harsh realities they brought. Living in South Miami Heights, he called a building near Substance Hub's home, sandwiched between infamous spots where dealers operated openly. He learned to hustle, sell, and survive, moving through the streets with a sense of grit that kept him alive. This environment was unforgiving, but served as the education that shaped much of his early worldview. At 16, he received a nickname that would become legendary. A Dominican friend, Junior, pointed out Armando's tenacity and tenacious nature, comparing him to a Pitbull, a dog breed stereotyped as aggressive and outlawed in his home county. The name resonated deeply. Pitbulls don't give up, they bite and lock on, fighting to the finish. This powerful metaphor for his own life and fighting spirit stuck with him, becoming his alter ego and public identity. Despite his raw talent and ambition, the streets demanded a brutal price. At 17, Armando sold what he thought was hard substance to a woman who returned hours later covered in blood, having nearly lost her life. This traumatic event was a turning point. Staring at the consequences of his actions made it painfully clear that the substance life offered only two fates: prison or death. No other options existed for him, and the choice to pivot was stark and urgent. Music became his lifeline and the one to save him. It came right when he needed it most, showing him a different way out of the cycle he was stuck in. Armando did not see music as just a dream, but rather a real exit strategy from the streets. This realization led him to a continuous struggle in the music industry that was as intense as his former life, but with the promise of a real future. He started working hard in Miami's local scene, releasing mixtapes, doing freestyles, and gaining a reputation for his lively style. His mixing of English, Spanish, and street slang made him unique in the multicultural environment of South Florida. The early days were hard with fights and failures, but Armando's thirst for success never reduced. These fights were more than just fun. They were the arenas where he showcased his talent and determination. Mentors played a significant role in providing support. Uncle Luke from the 2 Live crew signed him to Luke Records in 2001 and imparted priceless lessons of freedom and self-promotion. Though that first deal did not last long, it got him into the music business and taught him how to work without being controlled by a big label. The early collaborations were instrumental in shaping both his sound and his business savvy. Though technical ability was significant, it was the passion that never said die that really distinguished Armando from the rest. One incident that he would long remember took place during a contest at a video shoot where he not only stood his ground against the rappers, but also won over the spectators, such as Swiss Beats and Irv Gotti. It was during these very instances that he recognized that freestyle would not be enough unless coupled with writing to bring about the success that wouldn't fade away. At around that time, Lil Jon came into the picture, offering him beats and hookups that facilitated Pitbull's stepping into the limelight. This was the point where the underground and mainstream melted into one, thus paving the way for Pitbull's first big hits. The combination of Southern hip-hop with a Cuban-flavored style produced a unique sound and soon became popular. However, even with the increasing popularity, the dark side of his past and the bitter truth of the music business still cast a huge shadow over him. The foundation laid in Miami's unforgiving streets and makeshift studios set up Pitbull's tenacity and versatility, preparing him for the breakthrough that would launch him beyond the city limits and onto the global stage. Rise through music beginnings. Pitbull's first official introduction to the music world came with his debut album, Miami, released in 2004 under TT Records, a key moment in his early career. The album featured singles produced by Lil Jon and the Diaz's brothers, with Culo reaching number 32 on the Billboard Hot 100. This exposure was significant, catapulting Pitbull into the spotlight and enabling him to tour alongside major names like Eminem and 50 Cent. His voice and energetic style were everywhere, marking him as a rising star. However, the relationship with TVT Records soon revealed its darker side. The label was notorious for controlling its artists, earning Pitbull's description of its head as the Castro of the music industry. Many artists trapped under its contracts suffered similar fates, unable to regain control of their work or careers. Pitbull's determination to break free would soon lead to a high-stakes battle that tested everything he had. Seizing an opportunity amid chaos, Pitbull filed a lawsuit against TVT Records, risking his financial stability and personal relationships. He bet everything, including money from property investments and the security of his home, on a victory that could liberate him and his collaborators. The lawsuit was a gamble that paid off when he won and exited the restrictive contract. This freedom granted him the autonomy to craft his brand on his own terms, the start of a new era. Following this victory, Pitbull released albums like El Mariel in 2006 and The Boat Lift in 2007, steadily building his discography and refining his artistry. These works reflected his roots and ambition, bridging hip-hop with Latin influences and experimenting with broader sounds. Yet, the true turning point was still upon him, a moment that would elevate him from Miami rapper to worldwide phenomenon. In 2009, the release of Revolution, and particularly the single I Know You Want Me, Calle Ocho, marked that leap. The track soared to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, resonating not just in the US but internationally. Pitbull had tapped into an underserved global market by blending hip-hop with electronic dance music, a fusion few American artists had exploited at the time. His strategy was simple yet brilliant: capitalize on EDM's growth in Europe and worldwide, while others focused narrowly on traditional hip-hop audiences. I Know You Want Me became a cornerstone of clubs from Miami to Tokyo, cementing his Mr. Worldwide persona as authentic. This global reach was the fruit of years spent mastering the grind, battling doubts, and honing a unique voice that transcended borders. Collaborations with big-name DJs like Bob Sinclar, Afrojack, and David Guetta further propelled Pitbull's sound into international arenas. His ability to mesh catchy hooks with danceable beats expanded his audience beyond the rap world. It was this forward thinking that differentiated him, allowing long-term sustainability in an ever-changing industry. Yet, alongside success came new challenges, including conflicts over lyrics and public image. These controversies would test Pitbull's resilience and force him to carefully balance fame with reputation. Nonetheless, the groundwork laid in these early years was critical to weathering storms and setting the foundation for continued growth. The path was never easy, but it was always driven by an unrelenting will to succeed. One verse, one hook, one beat at a time. And this was only the beginning of how far that momentum would carry him. Breakthrough and mainstream success. The year 2009 marked a turning point in Pitbull's career with the release of the album Revolution and the breakout single I Know You Want Me, Calle Ocho. This track wasn't just a hit, it became a global anthem, blending infectious EDM beats with Pitbull's signature Latin-flavored rap. It climbed to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, signaling that Pitbull had outgrown the Miami rap scene to become an international star. His willingness to embrace electronic dance music set him apart from his peers, who largely stuck to more traditional hip-hop sounds. Pitbull's approach demonstrated an astute understanding of global trends. While EDM was exploding in Europe, many American artists remained focused on classic rap and pop formulas. Pitbull saw this as an opportunity to expand his audience and diversify his sound. By collaborating with European DJs and producers like Bob Sinclar, Afrojack, and David Guetta, he cemented his position at the intersection of hip-hop and dance music. The result was a fusion that played in clubs worldwide, from Miami to Tokyo, making his Mr. Worldwide nickname more than a marketing slogan. It became a reality. This global rise was further fueled by his collaboration with Jennifer Lopez on the 2011 hit On the Floor. The single debuted at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100, marking Lopez's highest-ever debut, and introduced Pitbull to an even wider audience. That same year, his 6th studio album, Planet Pit, delivered his first #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100 with Give Me Everything, featuring Neo, Afrojack, and Nair. These successes elevated Pitbull's profile from niche artist to mainstream pop phenomenon. Not only did I Know You Want Me and Give Me Everything dominate the charts, but they also became songs that defined the culture. The hooks and the very high energy of the songs swept through the young generation that was with their danceable, multilingual party anthems. The fact that Pitbull could fluently transition between English and Spanish not only increased his popularity, but also made it easier for him to establish communications with different listeners, as well as with the Latinx communities around the globe. Pitbull worked behind the scenes to keep on developing his sound and brand. He took the advice of his managers and producers who recognized his talent, and hence the radio-friendly shift in his style was not a betrayal of his roots, but rather a cunning step to win the hearts of the wider audience. Pitbull's musical flexibility was not limited to just the changing of styles, but also extended to the changing of his public persona, which was always polished, self-assured, and ever so determined to break the barriers. His constant touring schedule greatly increased this momentum. From Las Vegas to Sao Paulo, the arenas were packed for Pitbull's live shows, which turned out to be nothing less than a showcase of his variety of cultures and sounds. His residency in Las Vegas became one of the most successful in the city very soon, which proved he still had the power of an entertainer. What was initially the case in the rough neighborhoods of Miami had already become a global empire driven by music and savvy in business. This success also brought new challenges of a kind, the ones difficult to overcome, but on the other hand, there was the positive side. As Pitbull's persona and lyrics became extremely recognizable, in the same manner, the monitoring of the quality of some songs and his treatment of the co-workers was over. Coping with the challenges of fame and criticism turned out to be another test of his toughness and professional character. He would eventually decide that those pressures on his future career path were profound. Even though it was all very glamorous and it was handled with million-dollar contracts, Pitbull still kept to the basic thing that made him where he was, a tough love from his past and a willingness to take risks. His rise was a testimony to the power of reinvention and the need to have faith in one's uniqueness. But success at such a high level almost necessarily implies the presence of unpredicted hardships, as Pitbull found out soon enough. As the music climbed charts and clubs worldwide, behind the scenes, a storm was brewing, one that would pit Pitbull against some of the biggest names in entertainment and challenge everything he'd worked for. Legal battles and controversies. Though Pitbull's mainstream success brought fame and financial rewards, it also led to battles that threatened to derail his career. One of the most notable controversies involved a lyric from Give Me Everything, where he rapped, "I got it locked up like Lindsay Lohan." The line sparked a lawsuit by Lohan in August 2011, claiming defamation and unauthorized use of her name. The case could have cost Pitbull millions and damaged his reputation. However, the courts ruled in his favor, affirming that the lyric was protected under the First Amendment as free speech and creative expression. This legal victory was not only a win for Pitbull but also an important statement about artistic freedom in music. It highlighted the delicate balance artists must navigate between provocative content and public backlash. The ruling set a precedent, affirming that public figures could be referenced in lyrics without fear of undue censorship, as long as it falls within creative expression. For Pitbull, it was a critical affirmation of his right to maintain his bold style without restraint. Yet, controversies didn't end there. In 2013, Pitbull released the smash hit Timber, featuring Kesha, which topped charts in more than 20 countries. The song's catchy hook and unique blend of dance and country elements made it one of the year's biggest hits. However, in August 2024, fans noticed Kesha's name had been mysteriously removed from the YouTube title of the official Timber music video, igniting social media uproar. No explanation was given, and this disappearance fueled speculation about Pitbull's stance amid Kesha's ongoing legal battles with her producer. Pitbull addressed the controversy by stating that his team was investigating the issue and reassured fans that he had nothing but love and respect for Kesha. Despite this, the incident tarnished his image for some, reigniting debates about his relationships with female collaborators and whether his Mr. Worldwide persona masked deeper issues. Critics pointed to lyrics and music videos that seemed to objectify women and celebrate excess, fueling accusations of sexism. The conflict between the public's view and the actual situation was a major challenge for Pitbull's career. The musician, with his macho character and playboy-like image, usually with beautiful women showing off their bare skin around him, walks the line between being an entertainer and being controversial. This duality made Pitbull a talk of the town, as relating to the whole world's view about artists' responsibilities and the power relations in the music industry. On the other hand, Pitbull's association with the disputed marketing contracts only made matters worse. In 2016, he accepted a $1 million deal with Visit Florida, the state's tourism board, and this was the most controversial of his functions. The agreement was largely seen as a waste of taxpayer money, and as a result, the head of Visit Florida was forced to resign. His collaboration with the Cuban band Gente de Zona brought controversy back to the surface again. This is because many Cuban-American people regarded it as a sign of their support for the regime and as an insult to the exiles' doctrine. Pitbull did apologize, However, the incident caused a serious decline in his popularity among the community that was very much connected to his roots. Pitbull was very persistent, and he overcame all the lawsuit, public outcries, and refusals by the critics, even surpassing them in his popularity, brand expansion, and influence. He handled the controversies with great skill, which not only exposed him as a tough artist, but also as a smart capitalist who knew how to take advantage of the different aspects of fame. He wouldn't let his troubles rule him. Rather, he transformed them into a means of new opportunities. As he faced the consequences of his bold choices and public scrutiny, Pitbull shifted focus towards ventures that would solidify his legacy and impact far beyond the charts. Public image versus private reality. Pitbull's public persona is built around a bold, polished image, confident, hyper-masculine, and larger than life. Often seen in tailored suits, surrounded by glamorous women, he embodies the archetype of the Latin party icon. This image, reinforced by lyrics and videos centered on wealth, nightlife, and seduction, has brought both massive popularity and sharp criticism. Detractors argue that his visuals and themes lean into machismo and objectification, fueling debates about sexism in his work. Those who know Pitbull personally often describe a different man. Behind the performance, collaborators and colleagues portray him as professional, respectful, and disciplined. Many emphasize that the flashy persona is a deliberate character designed for entertainment, not a mirror of his private values. This gap between image and reality has contributed to the complexity surrounding his public perception. Pitbull has candidly admitted the conflictual situation. He portrays his character as a matter of storytelling and showmanship, and maintains that performance is a job requirement. However, he is also conscious of the power of his image and the consequent attention drawn to him. He does not shy away from controversy, but rather embraces it as a means of staying popular in a crowded market. Underneath the glamour of the music scene, his values show a rather complex personality. He often mentions his mother's hardships as the main contributor to his work ethic and sense of duty, and he is firmly rooted in his Cuban culture. Although he playfully refers to himself as married to music, family and legacy are, in fact, the quiet but crucial factors in his life, which are seldom, if ever, portrayed in the mainstream media. Besides artistry, Pitbull, the entertainer, is also a businessman with a razor-sharp mind. He is very careful in choosing the partnerships that will attract the public and, at the same time, will be in line with his long-term business goals. The artist's activities include endorsements, branding, and even charity, all of which show a very strategic thought pattern that helps him to stay in the game. Criticism has been part of his career from the beginning, and he has always faced it with resilience rather than retreat. He considers negative reactions as a source of motivation, making the required changes but still holding on to his fundamental identity. This capacity to suffer and grow points to a self-assurance that is deeper than his party anthem image suggests. In the end, Pitbull's story is a mirror to the general tension of performance versus authenticity that exists in the entertainment world. The performer is still faced with the task of mixing glamour with accountability, all the while being true to the values that formed him long before he stepped into the limelight. This internal negotiation influences decisions in all aspects of his career, extending into his philanthropic and business ventures, which demonstrate another side of his commitment to growth and positive impact. Business ventures and philanthropy. Outside the recording studio and concert stage, Pitbull has built a thriving empire that extends into philanthropy, education, and entrepreneurship. Perhaps his most meaningful contribution is the Slam Sports Leadership and Management School Network, which he founded in 2013 in Miami's Little Havana. This public charter school offers tuition-free education focused on sports, leadership, arts, and management, providing opportunities to underserved youth. Since its inception, the SLAM network has grown to encompass 11 schools across the United States, serving over 10,000 students. This expansion has made a significant impact on urban education, blending academics with real-world skills and mentorship. Pitbull's involvement goes beyond the name on the building. He actively advocates for educational equity and empowerment, using his platform to draw attention to challenges facing at-risk youth. In addition to education, Pitbull has diversified his investments into various business ventures. He holds equity stakes in brands like Voli Vodka, and participates in tech incubators such as Emerge Americas, which supports Latin American startups seeking to enter global markets. This engagement signals his forward-thinking approach, not only as an artist, but also as a businessman committed to fostering innovation and economic growth within the Latin community. Pitbull's entrepreneurial mindset is also evident in his marketing deals and partnerships. Despite some controversies, these collaborations have bolstered his brand and expanded his influence beyond music sales and touring revenues. He has worked strategically to align his image with established institutions and emerging industries, ensuring a degree of longevity rarely seen among artists from his genre. Philanthropy remains a core focus in his public life. Beyond education, Pitbull supports initiatives aimed at health, wellness, and community development. His charitable efforts underscore a commitment to social responsibility that contrasts with the high-energy party persona many associate with him. This dimension reveals a man deeply invested in creating positive change. Motivational speaking and business mentorship have also become avenues for Pitbull's impact. He has toured with speakers like Tony Robbins, sharing his story of resilience, entrepreneurship, and overcoming adversity. His speeches emphasize perseverance, self-belief, and the immigrant experience, inspiring audiences that extend far beyond his music fans. These endeavors position him as a role model and leader in entrepreneurial circles. Recognition for these contributions has followed in recent years. Pitbull has received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame as a global ambassador. These honors reflect not only his artistic achievements, but also his broader cultural and social impact. They validate his efforts to forge a multi-dimensional legacy. Despite the demands of a busy performance schedule and expanding business ventures, Pitbull remains actively involved in managing his philanthropic projects and brand partnerships. This hands-on approach demonstrates a dedication to quality and effectiveness in everything he undertakes. It also highlights his evolution from struggling artist to influential mogul. With a net worth estimated at $100 million in 2024, Pitbull continues to grow economically and culturally. His diversification into philanthropy and business exemplifies how vision and hustle can translate into lasting success and meaningful influence, principles rooted in the determined spirit that carried him from Miami's streets to the world stage. The path he has carved sets the stage for a final look at the man's private life and enduring legacy. Pitbull's legacy. Despite his global fame and high-energy public persona, Pitbull maintains a notably private personal life. He is a father of two, but rarely discusses his children or relationships, choosing to shield his family from public scrutiny. Marriage is not something he speaks about openly, often saying he is married to the music, a phrase that reflects his deep commitment to his craft and the focus that has driven his success. The musical legacy of Pitbull is marked by his defining hits, among which the global breakthrough I Know You Want Me, Cale Ocho, is the most prominent. Give Me Everything, his first #1 single, and Timber featuring Keisha, a worldwide club anthem. Each of these songs signifies a new chapter in his career, demonstrating his skill in transforming himself, working with different music styles, and being in the right place at the right time, even in a rapidly changing industry. A story of resilience is hidden behind the success of Pitbull. The young artist's rise was marked by constant patience and adaptability, especially during the times when his future looked dim. He may not always have been at the top of the charts, but his career mirrored the dynamics of an industry where one has to be constantly reinventing oneself and taking calculated risks. Pitbull, the artist of the music, becomes a symbol of immigrant success and entrepreneurship. A Cuban-American who spent his childhood in the foster care system, he is a major investor in the education sector, businesses, and startups like Emerge Americas. His residency in Las Vegas, which has lasted for many years, is another proof of his ability as a live performer. Pitbull's net worth is estimated to be about $100 million, but his legacy may be the encouragement he gives. The evidence that persistence, imagination, and recreation can change the hardest starts into a legacy of impact. The journey of Pitbull teaches us that resilience, adaptability, and vision can turn even the darkest circumstances into shining success. From foster care to global stages, his story inspires and challenges us to keep pushing forward. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the man behind Mr. Worldwide, be sure to like and subscribe for more incredible stories like this. And don't miss the next video on your screen, where another unforgettable story of grit and ambition is waiting for you.